Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Night that was. Boy, we've had a couple of really disappointing nights the last couple of nights for the home teams, but for the Lightning, whew, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. So many opportunities to win, so many opportunities to get penalties stolen away. Don't want to blame this one all on the refs, but man, ref, you suck. Ref, that definitely comes to mind. Well, it was a disappointing night, but we got so much to get to today on the JP Peterson Show. We'll be uplifted because the series is not over. The Rays season is not over, although it certainly appears that it is. And boy, does it ever. So much to get to. I'll welcome in my good friend Peter Blake from the Sports Web, who's joining me each and every Wednesday. What's up, partner? How are you?
What's going on, buddy? One day until the NFL draft.
That's right.
Yes, talking about a disappearing act. Where's the offense for the Rays? Where's the emotion? And where's Nikita Kucherov for the Tampa Bay Lightning? That's what
a lot of MIAs. Got a lot of MIAs, Betty. We really do.
Yeah. So great day to talk sports. And, of course, we got open phone lines. We'll get to that in a moment. But I'm excited to be here. And, oh, by the way, 8 years for the Sports Web. I can't believe it's been 8 years since I started that show. So we'll be doing a mock draft tonight. Want to formally invite you to that broadcast. Want to get on because I want to get on fans, but really haven't had, a lot of fans commit. So we can get celebrities on, local celebrities to do the picks. And if you get
what time we doing this? Because I've got a dinner reservation with a bunch of my boys tonight there. So there might be a lot of red meat and vino involved.
I love it.
Not a huge wine drinker, but that's going to be a tough. We'll see. I'll see if I can pop in with my pick for the Buccaneers.
Okay,
is being ridiculed by some in the inner circles around here, but that's okay. We got so much to get to, so I'm very excited about today's show. We got J.C. Allen coming up. Sports Illustrated covers the Bucs. We'll talk to him at 10:30. Pat Burnham will join us from the Osceola, our FSU expert, and talk about the spring showcase. He was also up at the elite camp of high school recruits in Atlanta this past weekend. FSU really, really high on the list of a lot of elite prospects. So we'll talk that, maybe squeeze in a little stuff on the lawsuit as well. And then at 11:30, got a great treat for you. Trevor Sikkema, Tampa Bay Trey, PFF's lead draft analyst. We got a slot with him this week, a day before the draft. So we're really excited to have Trevor on today at 11:30. So if you got any questions for Trev, roll it up here in the comments. You can comment on YouTube and comment on Facebook, on Twitter at FanStreamJP. Are we on Instagram today?
We are not on Instagram today, but we will get back on that here eventually.
RHSTV, if you got that app, you can watch us on that each and every day. We're everywhere. All right, so let's get into it. Your Tampa Bay Lightning last night. First of all, can I just say thank you to the Lightning and you stinking Panthers and the NHL for providing what for me, and the guys from Bally's, by the way, Dave Randolph, Brian Engblom, my post-game partner, Gabby Shirley, the whole crew there. It's just, to me, I love sports and I love local sports. I love Tampa Bay sports, and watching playoff hockey with your Tampa Bay Lightning is one of my great pleasures in life. Whether it be in the arena or on TV, watching our Bally's crew, it's just a phenomenal product that you guys put out there, and we really, really appreciate it. What a game last night to watch. What a game to watch. So much talent on the ice, incredible up and, back and forth, much different than game one. It really, really opened up. I was a little surprised at that. And in any other series, this would have been a 7-6 game. But Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky last night were just going mano-a-mano, two Russian goaltenders saying, I'm better than you. And I'm going to say something that may sound, and it's not meant to be disrespectful to Bobrovsky whatsoever. That was a phenomenal say. But Matty Dumba, come on, bro. To me, it was a great shot into the dude's glove. I mean, or what he hit, the glove, the stick, whatever it hit.
Yeah.
how do you not hit the back of that net? Your skill to hit his arm was incredible, Dumba. Like, was it a shot or was it the save? Because to me, you got to bury that puck, bro.
Yes.
I know you're not expecting Bobrovsky to bid. You got an empty freaking net. Put it in the back of the effing net. My God. I know it feels like a lazy shot. Like, oh, I got to open that. Let me just pop it right in here. This is the freaking playoffs. Yes, it's a great save. But, a little bit. Cooper even said it in his post. He's got, we got to score right there. We got to score. That's a great save. I get it. You got to open net. You got to see that guy coming over. Shoot the whole bottom half of the net is open. Just knock it on the ice. It's going in. The only place you could have shot it was right there for him to make that save. So come on. And that's the game winner. That's the game winner. Plus, as bad as the officiating was, and it was horrible last night. It was horrible for the Lightning. I know they're going to be inconsistent. I hate to blame officials, but I can speak to specific calls that were made and specific calls that were not made that were mistakes. There's going to be mistakes made. I get that. It's part of it. The game moves fast. It's hard to see at lightning speed. I get it. But the bottom line is you sucked and you cost the Lightning the game in some ways. Okay, number one, the first goal is by far goalie interference. There's no way. It was Tkachuk who's coming in. And Tkachuk has already contacted Andrei Vasilevsky and knocking him back before Hagel makes contact with him. And they were running Vasilevsky all night long.
Yep.
All night long they were running him. And they got one penalty out of it. That's a goal that he's flat on his ass because he got knocked over. You want to say Hagel knocked him over? He had already contacted Vasilevsky before Hagel touched him. Come on. And Cooper was right to challenge that call. He's 100% right, and it should have been a disallowed goal. That's F up number one. Mitchell Chaffee's a penalty for tripping that turns into another goal. His stick was nowhere near the guy's skates. Nowhere near his skates. He fought, and the Panthers were diving all night long. Put him in the freaking diving Hall of Fame all night long, looking for calls. Diving here, diving there.
What are they? LeBron James school?
Oh my God, Flop City, baby.
Carl Malone,
Flop City.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. And
terrible call. Brian Engblom called it on Bally's. Terrible call. Turns into a goal. Turns into another goal. That's two goals by officiating by my count. Okay, I know I'm a little biased. I work for the Lightning. I get it. Tell me I'm wrong. Look at the tape. Tell me I'm wrong. Sorry. Officials blew both of those calls. That Pointer takes a freaking stick right to the chops, right in front of the net. Right in front of the net. How do you miss that? Now, I will say this, and this is where the Lightning got to be better, and Kucherov has to be better. You had a 4-minute power play to take the lead. A 4-minute power play, double minor, and you get 2 shots on goal. That's it. Against, their penalty kill is great. Good. Okay. Bobrovsky was fantastic. But the Lightning's, and this is where we come right to Kucherov. What are you doing? What are you doing? 3 shots on goal and 3 giveaways in 2 games. Listen, we all went to the mat for you for MVP, and now you're making us all look stupid. Everybody went to Kucherov's the MVP. We all did it. We all looked at the numbers, everybody, and then you give us this in the playoffs. And I don't see anything that Florida's doing they're not hitting him, inordinately hard or I don't know what the hell's going on. He's got open space. He's just doing nothing. Doing nothing.
I mean, shoot the puck instead of
do something.
The perfect pass, but that's been the disappointing thing, right? I mean, you have the momentum coming into the year. You feel like he's the MVP, that he's going to be the catalyst for this. I mean, you had Stamkos last night at his perfect spot with the power play goal, which
God, he's so good.
He is, and look, he nearly scored again with
that first one hit the post, man. If that goes in, it completely changes the game.
Yep.
As bad as it, I think the officiating cost them last night. The mistakes that were made cost them dearly. There's no question about it. Have the Lightning played well enough to win one of these games? Yeah, I think they have. I thought their start was strong, even though, once again, the Panthers got a 2-0 lead. I thought the start was strong, but then a couple of misplays that the Panthers get a power play early on, it kind of changed the momentum. So I think the Lightning have played. I think they've played well enough to win one of these games, but they got bupkis to show for it. And this overtime thing, bro. I mean, 10 of your last 11 overtime playoff games you've lost, and the Panthers have won 11 in a row. I mean, talk about a trend. Wow. That's why when the game went to overtime, I was like,
yep,
not good. I mean, I knew those numbers before they even said them on TV. I'm like, I know what this means. And you know what? The Lightning came out flat. They came out flat in overtime. They didn't come out like they did in the first period. How do you come out flat in overtime? So the Panthers are a excellent hockey team. I think they have a great chance to win the Stanley Cup. I really do, especially if Bob's playing like this. But that being said, the Lightning should have won one of these games. They should have won one of these games. And now you sit, you're down 2-0. You come back. You can even things up, but now you got to win, 4 out of 5 games. That's a tough ask.
They've been there before. They're a veteran team. They've been there before. We've seen this before. When can they turn it on? But it's a dangerous prospect because you get into danger when you feel like, okay, we can come out there flat, lose 2 games, and then come back home and win, both of those games, because it doesn't always happen that way. And you can't just turn it on and turn it off anytime you want to. Verhaeghe, former Lightning player, talking about it, revenge factor. Yeah. You can't body, but man, if there's one move the Lightning could maybe take back and you go back into the time machine, maybe it's him, because he's not only killed the Lightning, but he's killed it in overtime. Like, I think his 5th goal or something, 5th winning goal.
Yeah, his third most overtime goals, game-winning overtime goals in NHL history.
Amazing.
Yeah, Scott Reynolds texted me this morning. It's like, how the hell do we let him go? Salary cap, man. Can you imagine if this was baseball and Jeffrey Vinik could sign all these guys? You imagine the team that we'd have right now? Jonathan Marchessault, Johnny Gord, Goudreau, Coleman, Verhaeghe. I mean, Brian McDonough. Yeah. We'd never lose a cup. We'd have 7 cups if there wasn't a salary cap like back in the 80s. Yeah. Can you imagine the team we would have?
Well, I mean, if you had Palat, you're looking for late game heroics. That's the thing you're calling on. I mean, you were kind of looking for that last night, and you didn't get it. So you're exactly right. I mean, why?
This is why even what the Lightning have done in the past, 10 years, 7 years, 4 finals, 2 cups, 7 straight playoff appearances. I mean, this is an incredible dynastic type run in hockey that I don't think will be seen because of the salary cap and the draft and everything else. It's hard. It's really hard to identify talent and develop talent and keep it. You just can't. It's a salary cap, and that's good for the league overall. I mean, I think that's good for the league. You want every team. You don't want a team to just completely hog the best players in the game because they have endless amounts of money. Which with Vinik, as the only owner that doesn't have a salary cap in this city is the cheapest mofo, right? How lucky do we get, right? If Vinik owned the Rays, holy hell. Can you only imagine what kind of payroll we would have if Vinik owned the Rays and he had a stadium downtown Tampa? Oh, my God.
I'm going to have a hangover for 3 days if that happened. If Vinik owned the Rays, me and you are going to party. And I don't party.
If Vinik owned the Rays, if
they would have 2 World Series championships.
They'd have probably 2 World Series. We'd have a stadium right next to Amalie Arena in downtown Tampa that we'd been in for 4 years already. We'd have a payroll. I'm not saying it'd be $300 billion like the Dodgers. It wouldn't need to be. With Eric Neander, just give me 150 and we'll win a World Series.
Right.
But that's a discussion for a different day. The Lightning, You come home now Thursday and Saturday, obviously must wins for both of these home games. Get it back to 2-2 and then make it a 3-game series and see what happens. But look, these Panthers are really, really good. Bobrovsky's been fantastic. He's learned how to play in the playoffs. As I sit here right now, even as the biggest Lightning fan, a Lightning employee, trying to be objective, chances are slim, boys and girls. And that overtime last night, I said it on Twitter last night in the third period when it was tied 2-2. I said, team that wins this period is going to win the series. And then when they go into overtime, it's the same thing. Whoever wins this game is going to win the series. I think if the Lightning won last night, it was 1-1. The whole momentum would be switched. The sphincters get tight for the stinking Panthers. They come on the road. Bobrovsky's got, starts thinking, well, how did I give up that game-winning goal if there was one? It's a totally different mindset. It's, the Lightning get their mojo back. And right now, Kucherov and who was it that just put this in here? Zach Mitchell, right? Kuch needs to be better in Tampa, no question about it.
Yeah.
James says because of the loss of players and salary cap and injured Panthers better. Doesn't matter. Bolts can't win. It just means they have to be flawless. Cannot score on 4-minute penalty. And Cooch needs to be Cooch. Yeah, Cooch has got to be better. You just got you got to be better. Yeezy says that Dumba shot on Bob gave me nightmares last night. Yeah, we're gonna see, and we're gonna have to see it in every freaking promo for the next 30 years. As Yeezy says, Cooch has been very quiet and very sloppy. Feels like he is pressing. Mike Taylor, thank you very much. Best talk show, damn right. How can Cooch be pressing? As much experience as he has. A Flash Ludeman says, this may shock you, but the more shots you have, the better your chance of winning.
I think that's the most surprising thing for me. Not only the slow starts, and I know they got off to a better start than game one, but you have to shoot the puck. Are you trying? And I understand this. This is the gift and the curse with the Lightning. They're so skilled. You want to make that extra pass, but sometimes you just have to put the puck on net because you never know what's going to happen. Case in point, look at what happened last night with the Panthers and, just rebound on that. If you shoot more, you have those opportunities to clean up the trash in the crease there.
Yeah, and just the no shots early on in the game. And part of it, listen, I have there been a lot of opportunities where I said, shoot the puck. No. I haven't. I think the Panthers have done a phenomenal job of bottling up the Lightning and not giving them opportunities. It's like every time a Lightning player gets the puck, they're not in position to shoot. And that's good defense. That's good scouting. That's good defense. You heard Brian Engblom say it last night. The Panthers know everything the Lightning are doing, and they're anticipating, and they're taking guys out of their game. So I think right now, John Cooper's searching a little bit too, and they've got to reinvent themselves here quickly and understand that the Panthers know, how you're exiting the zone, what your cycling looks like, what you're trying to do offensively. So they know what you're doing, and they're executing. You can draw everything up on the board like Coop said the other night. We had a game plan, we just abandoned it right off the bat. If you're not executing, and let's give the Panthers some credit here. If they're not allowing you to execute, that's good hockey on their end. But you've got to turn that around. From a personnel standpoint, are the Panthers better? Top to bottom? Yes. I think they are. I think top to bottom, I think the Lightning have the better core players in general. But I think top to bottom, and this is where the playoffs are won, right? All four lines, all defensive, everybody's got to pull their weight. The Panthers just look better. They look deeper. They look better. And the Lightning have to find a way to turn that around. And the biggest way to do it is you got to score in the power play when you're given an opportunity. The number one power play in hockey, you get 2 shots on goal in a 4-minute power play in a 2-2 game in the third period. Come on.
Yeah.
As much as I want to bitch about the officiating, you got your call. You got your opportunity with the number one power play. Now do something with it. And you did squadoosh. Squadoosh. Ugh, frustrating, but exhilarating at all the same time.
Well, that second period had everything you would want. I mean, it was up and down hockey, great goaltending. The Lightning get back into it. Once again, Vasilevsky standing on his head. He can only do so much. Eventually, if you don't get the help, and it's like the Rays pitching, right? I mean, they can go out there and pitch lights out, but if you can't get the run support, same thing with the Lightning. I mean, I think Vasilevsky has been great in this series and has given the Lightning every opportunity, but you got to do more than what you've done. And it starts with your guy that most likely could be the MVP of the league, Kucherov, certainly not playing like it at this point.
No, and he's got to pick it up. He's got to pick it up. By the way, just added a guest here. Brian Engblom can join us. Worked the game late last night, obviously, so he just got up. So he'll join us at 10:45, and we'll get a couple of thoughts from him on this. I thought a great call last night by he and Randorf. It's just a joy listening to those guys, man. They're so good, and they know the Lightning so well. No disrespect to the guys at ESPN, but I'll watch the Bally's broadcast. And remember, guys, that you'll have a choice through the first, at least the first round. I know, so don't please, if you can, be watching Bally's. You'll enjoy it a lot more.
Yes.
All right, so let's roll over to the Rays here real quickly before we get to JC Allen and start talking some Bucs draft. Obviously, I did not watch much of the game last night. Went back and watched the highlights this morning and kind of caught up. And this offense, bro, is just dreadful. I mean, absolutely dreadful against a journeyman Maeda last night. I mean, it's just what are they hitting now? I wrote these numbers down. I should have remembered them. They're 5 for 42. With runners in scoring position the last 6 games. They've scored 14 runs in 6 games, bro.
Awful.
14 runs in 6
Awful.
games.
Randy Arozarena, Yandy Diaz, will you please stand up? Are you guys men on the milk carton at this point? I mean, you got to get more out of it. I get it. It's a start. It's a long season, but you got to start somewhere. You're 4.5 games right now from the Yankees in Baltimore.
And you've played 7 games against the woeful Angels. You've played Detroit now. I mean, you haven't even faced Murderers Row yet.
Right.
And you're at 12 and 13. I mean, this team is bad. The bullpen is the worst in baseball. They've allowed 25 home runs total. The pitching staff has at Tropicana Field, 17 by the bullpen. I mean, the pitching is bad. The offense is bad. You got a good manager. Your stadium sucks. Like your owner's terrible. I mean, what? Like, all right, that's your Rays segment for the day. Moving on.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's what you get for trying to swallow $90 million. I mean, could you imagine if I don't know? And we keep on going back to it, and it becomes a broken record. It becomes a bad song in your head. But it's just like over and over again. Can you imagine if the financial commitment was there for this team? Can you imagine if you go out there and get a big bopper in this lineup? I get it. You're depending on Arozarena and Yandy Diaz, but you could add to it. Could you imagine if you get yourself another bullpen arm or another starting pitcher, which, by the way, Fairbanks on the IL, another pitching injury, nerve damage, or I mean, and I don't know if it's a mental thing, a physical thing. I know there's a lot of Rays fans that are just getting mentally tired of watching this team. I mean, how can you watch it? You said highlights. Where's the highlights at? There is no highlights. I mean, Aesop Paredes, that's about it. Everybody else, what? I mean,
well, if you're an insomniac,
yeah,
it's great. Turn on the Rays game. That'll put you to sleep right away.
There you go.
Yeah, Paredes comes up with a huge 2-run homer last night to give him a lead, and then Poche gives it right back because your closer is also MIA now with Fairbanks, who has nerve damage or something going on in his hand. They can't, he's got pins and needles in his pitching arm, which he had last year. So, you think, hey, go out and get some insurance for your closer. Nah.
Trevor Bauer, anybody? I mean,
anyone
of anything, but you're going to have to pay some money for him, or maybe you don't want to bring him there because of the PR nightmare. But at this point, what was he convicted of? Is he guilty of anything? He's out there. Come on, Rays. Can you go out there and get him? You're going to have to pay a little bit of money. No, you can't swallow $90 million. It'd be tough to swallow $90 million. I mean, the Dodgers swallowed half a million, almost nearly $1 billion of salary because they want to win a World Series.
Listen, Stu is busy. He's busy.
Right.
Bilking Pinellas County and the city of St. Pete out of $2.4 billion. It's not easy work, bro.
Right.
You got to go out and create all these fake polls that act like you actually have some support for this thing. You see that? He went out, paid for a poll to be done And to say that most people of Pinellas support this Rays stadium. Are you
right? I
Who's believing that, bro?
Yeah.
Like these other polls. I mean, I don't know if you saw this, but your president was in Tampa yesterday, and Jane Castor, who we love,
fall off the plane by chance.
Known the mayor for a long time. She put out a tweet about it with the plane on the runway. So did Kathy Castor. And if you look at every one of the replies, like every single one is FJB or some sort of, like, it's not like 20% or 30%, 40% supporting. Every single one is FJB. Not every, like some form of that. Like, get him. Like, it's unbelievable. You see any place and like 7 people show up. You know, it's ridiculous. But anyway,
did you see where the story was that
welcome to Tampa? Bye-bye.
His grandfather got lost there, got ate by cannibals.
His uncle got ate.
Did you like that?
It's so pathetic.
Storyline from The Walking Dead. I mean, what was that from? Like, what are we doing here?
Who knows? He just makes it up as he goes.
Cannibals.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we all know he's not running the country, right? Like, you know that, right? Like, who is? Anybody want to ask that question? Like, who is? And you're going to vote for the guy again? Oh, my God.
Why not?
I understand the choices. The choices aren't great. I get it. But, man, I don't know how you make that choice. All right, let's take a break because we're going to talk some NFL draft with the great J.C. Allen, and then Brian Engbaum's going to join us at 10:45. We'll get his thoughts on last night's game. 11 o'clock, Pat Burnham on Florida State. 11:30, Trevor Sikkema on the NFL draft. We're loaded today, baby. We are absolutely loaded. Thanks to our sponsors, the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves, we love him as well. Just go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES Lawgroup.com. If you're in an accident, if your car's been totaled, class action lawsuits, problems with insurance companies, the Jeeves Law Group, they are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Don't go with some huge company from out of the Tampa Bay area. Go with the locals, and that's the Jeeves Law Group. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
To the JP Peterson Show, presented by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. I got to get you some of this stuff, Peter. We'll do it right here on the air. You pour it into the cup like that.
All right.
That's a nice little powder. This would be the watermelon elderberry.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
Sounds good. That sounds really good.
Secure the top like this in my beautiful little lime green shaker bottle here.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm about to get 8 times the benefits of hydration drinks with no sugar, no caffeine, none of those bad stimulants that are going to make your heart explode. You get vitamin D, you get elderberry, you get potassium, magnesium, all those great electrolytes. Amla fruit is in there as well. So helps your immune system, helps your at the cellular level, gives me great energy. That's just for me. We're not making those claims in the FDA. But yeah, it keeps and just being hydrated makes your skin feel better.
Wow.
Like, see the rosy glow I have here?
I see that. I see that. You got some sun in your face there. You're healthy. You're taking pictures all over Facebook, social media, doing that.
Yeah, you got to be out there, bro. With the
I need to be. You got the Hydrate Heroes. You're hydrated. And, of course, this segment also brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical.
That's right. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, who also, which you went to see Dr. Lugo as well, right?
I did. I got a consultation about 2 hours. Again, the oil light kind of came on and got checked out. got some meds, and I'm good to go. I'm ready to go. Like my 96 Mustang GT, ready to go another 100,000 miles. Yes.
All right. Is JC Allen ready to go?
He is. He's ready to go. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk Bucs draft here.
What's up, partner? How are you?
Let's go, guys. How we doing?
Well, last time we talked to you, you were getting ready to put out all your position by position draft information, and as vis-a-vis as it applies to the Buccaneers. And I will say this: I'm still zeroed in on Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that's the number one target for the Buccaneers, or Graham Barton from Duke. I don't see an edge rusher being there when they pick, but if Jared Verse is there, go get him. Where are you at right now, the day before the draft?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still at the same place. I really don't know where Jason and his team is going to go. I think looking
lots
at
of options.
Yeah, if the options keep getting narrower and narrower. There's a lot of Johnny Newton, the tackle from Illinois, hype right now. If he's there, I think he'd be a phenomenal pick. You shouldn't be there. If he's there, there's some evaluators that need to probably be fired. I know some fans are like, "Oh, defensive tackle 3 years in a row." He's a maker. He's a game changer, and you can get him on the field in certain ways with Cansey, with Vita Vea, and really just disrupt things up front. And you kind of look at what the Eagles did, right, with their front seven, with the edge rushers, and the defensive tackles being able to constantly rotate fresh legs throughout the game and just wreak havoc on offensive lines, wearing them down. He'd be a really good selection, I think. But I really
affect the quarterback.
Exactly, and that's what you need to do. Bowles was not happy with the pressure from the front four when he was sending four, so that would be a good addition to the roster. But I'm still in the stance where I think you can get good centers and guards in round 2 and round 3. Don't necessarily think you need to go the first round for them. Yeah, I think Jackson Powers Johnson would be an immediate upgrade. But then you're still looking at a large hole at left guard. Nothing tells me that Hainsey can play left guard. He hasn't played left guard. He's really
Opeta can play left guard. Opeta can, and the other guy they got from
Giants.
Again, limited. I mean, Opeta's got limited experience there, and Bredesen didn't necessarily grade out well when he played guard as well. So, yeah, you have 2 viable options, and you don't need all pro or pro bowlers all across the line. But I think you can upgrade. I think it'd be more prudent to upgrade guard before center and worry about center next year. But I'm still of the ilk where if I'm Jason, I'm working the phones and I'm moving back in the second round. I think I can move down into the mid 30s, maybe even high 40s, pick up some extra draft capital, an extra third, fill the gap in the 5th round that we don't have. Grab a guy like Zach Frazier if you want to center that bad from West Virginia. Really high on him. I think he'd be a tremendous fit. And you can even, if you're doing that and picking up an extra 3rd round pick, you can even double dip in the 3rd and grab a guy like Christian Mahogany or my favorite Mason McCormick or Cooper Beebe or Dominic Puny and fill both of those needs. So if I'm Jason, I'm working the phones unless an elite player falls to me. I think, Jackson Powers Johnson by default, if he's there, you can't move. He would be a tremendous pick. Yeah. So would one of those wide receivers.
Do you think any of these edge guys are going to drop? Like I see in some mock drafts where Latu is there from UCLA, and Jared Verse even falls to 26. And I think, if Verse and JPJ are on the board, I'm with you. I'll take my center in the second round because there's not going to be any decent edge rushers around. And I think center and edge rush are the 2 spots where you could vastly improve this team the quickest. Any of your mocks, are you seeing these 2 elite guys fall to 26?
I mean, I'm seeing them here and there, but I mean, most GMs right now, they're steel traps. Anything that anyone's saying is speculation. Maybe they're talking to a scout who really likes a guy and wants to kind of get it hyped up in the media. But no one's giving draft board information really out right now. So if you're hearing, well, this could happen, I think, some things, sometimes we're talking about some medical red flags that pop up shortly. Kind of things get uncovered and discovered as we get closer and closer. Again, Jackson Powers Johnson might fall to the second round because of concussion history.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. Yeah.
Right, and Latu's got the medical questions too. He had to medically retire.
Yeah.
He's obviously the best talent, but what do you get? 6 years out of him? Maybe. Let me look at what Kyle. Did we talk about this last time?
Which one?
Kyle Vander Esch with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. No, I don't think we talked about it, but you're right. Yeah, there's, and guys, by the way,
years of Pro Bowl level play from Latu.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Bowles going to be here in 6 years?
No.
Mike, Devontae?
Am I going to be here in 6 years? Probably not. No,
right.
So it's all good.
I mean, it's not ideal to only get 6 years out of a first round draft pick, and that's not saying that's all you're getting. But
if it's 6 Pro Bowl years, I'll take it with the 26th pick. Exactly. Absolutely, 100%.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this board shakes out because I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the middle. There's uncertainty at the top because of the whole quarterback situation, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the middle. It's a pick your flavor. There's a lot of offensive tackles and wide receivers there that could go higher than what some people expect and could drop and could lower, which could fluctuate defensive tackles and defensive ends. And it's why you're seeing guys like Johnny Newton even mentioned at 26 because of the need for tackle and wide receiver, and that could push guys back. And would I be surprised if Latu is there? Would I be surprised if Verse is there? Yes. But certainly there's some people who are plugged in and who do this on a more professional basis who have them available. And if they are, then certainly
all right.
Because that's what you need.
Well, you go back to Powers Johnson, the medical red flags. Mel Kiper has him down at 48th overall, and it's because not only that with the concussion situation, But remember, guys, he had to withdraw from the Senior Bowl with a hamstring injury, and also has had some hip injuries. So is that a guy? And like he said, Frazier in the second round, wrestling champion, knows how to position himself. And because of the propensity of Jason Line and where he drafts offensive linemen, yes, in the second and third round,
Someone's
I say
been reading my articles.
well, I mean, he's one of the best in the business right there. JC Allen of Sports Illustrated.
That's right. We cop to that.
Yeah, I mean, Chop
read your
Robinson.
articles.
I kind of feel like and maybe this is a stretch on my part, but you got George Edwards on your coaching staff. You work with Michael Parsons from Penn State. If Chop Robinson is there at 26, I'm not saying there's a correlation there, but the athleticism is there. Do you run to the podium and take him? The thing that you have to worry about with Robinson from Penn State is the lack of production. What do you think of Chop?
So to me, it's not just production because, George Edwards, he also worked with Daniil Hunter, who only had, I think 3 sacks between his junior and senior season at LSU. And now look at Daniil Hunter. I mean, he's an absolute stud, double-digit sack year.
Maybe the problem is George Edwards. That seems to be the problem.
Right. For me, I think the situation here is more he's a one-trick pony. I mean, he's a designated pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's got athleticism. Yes, you'd like to see a little more bend around the corner. He's not a real big factor in dropping back in coverage. He's not a big factor as far as in run support.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things about Chop where he kind of reminds me, and not like as much because he was like an absolute workout warrior, but a guy like Vernon Golston. Remember Vernon Golston out of
but at least he had size. This guy,
Right.
Chop didn't even have overwhelming size,
but had a tremendous combine, and everyone's talking about him. And I think with him, I mean, I'm trying to get to my write up on him so I can just be a little more thorough.
He reminds me of Marquise Watts. We already got one of those. We're good.
That's true. Right. That's true.
Right. So what I wrote about Chop: elite first step, quickness to burst up the arc, natural pass rush ability, active hands, bend to get around the corner, enough athleticism to drop into coverage, though he hasn't been asked to. Modest production in college, doesn't have great length, will struggle to get off blocks in the run game. Profiles early on is just a situational pass rusher.
There we go. We got plenty of those guys. So not at 26. In the third round maybe, but not at 26.
A sneaky name, if they do go pass rusher, a sneaky name that could fall into the first round. And I think Detroit is a good potential landing spot for him. Marshawn Nealand,
yes,
they brought him in for a 30 visit. They had him for a formal. Same thing, limited production. Only had 4.5 sacks his senior year. Didn't have a lot of production, but the traits are there. The size, 263, 267, everything that kind of Bowles looks for. His bull rush is just, you watch it and you're like, holy crap. He's got a violent rip move to break free. He plays the run defense. Is he going to be good in coverage? That's, remained to be seen. And of course he went to the MAC conference, so, he wasn't in the FBS, but he's a guy who, if they're dead set on a pass rusher round 1, don't be surprised if, they turn in the pick and it's Marshawn Nealand.
What about a Keon Coleman? What about a Keon Coleman, the wide receiver from Florida State? Is that a possibility? Because you see mocks out there. They have the kid from LSU possibly being mocked. If there is not an interior lineman on the board, which is certainly a possibility, if there is no edge, could you see them going wide receiver early there with possibly a Davis or Keon Coleman?
So Coleman to me is a trade down scenario. I mean, they've done their due diligence on him. Had a formal meeting with him at the combine, had him in for an official 30 visit. He's right up the street, so they've seen plenty of him. He'd be an instant upgrade outside over Palmer. They're moving back to an 11 personnel look. But at the same time, if like a Thomas Jr. is there, I'm going him all day.
Yeah, speed.
Coleman, Keon Coleman for everything that he does well. He certainly has some deficiencies as well. I wish you gave me a name of guys that we want to talk about. I would have had it pulled up right off the bat. Guys,
okay. You're doing well.
Yeah, we
At
got
the end of the
you.
day, I'll have 175 profiles that I've written up on these guys. Needs to be more nuanced as a route runner. Doesn't offer much after the catch either. So those are some knocks on him. But he's got great twitch for a receiver his size. I mean, 6'3", 213, 4'6", 140, which could turn some people off. But when you look at him in the gauntlet and his playing speed versus time speed,
Yes, much better.
much
Much
faster.
better.
Time speed.
Yeah. All right, JC, we got Brian Engbaum coming up, so love your stuff. Promote what you got going, all that hard work you did, so everybody can go check out these great profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, all my work is over at Bucs Game Day, Sports Illustrated's Bucs Game Day. Check out there. I'll be having safeties up today, which will be my last one. I've got all my profiles that I've written up, plus my best fits for each round 1 to 2, 3 to 4, and then 5 to 7. So go check those out for each position group besides special teams because they don't need that. I'll have my kind of accumulative out tomorrow. So you can just kind of look at who my best fits are, see if I'm doing well or doing not. My final mock draft will be out tomorrow as well. My predictive one, not what I would do.
Who's the Bucs picking? Give me one name before you go, real quick. Who you bet the Bucs pick? Come on, one name.
Okay, so my predictive mock, I have them going Rook Ahoro in round 2.
Yeah.
So there's a little teaser for you. Defensive line. So.
All right, partner. Great stuff as always, JC. We really appreciate you, man. Great work. We'll talk to you next week after the draft.
Yes, sir. 2 podcasts today. Pirate Parlay with Luke Easterling breaking down draft stuff, and then Bucs Game Day. We'll have our very first podcast tonight at 8:00 live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So check that out. Like, subscribe, turn the notifications on. Appreciate y'all. Let's go.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. JC Allen right there.
Good
All right,
stuff.
quick break. When we come back, Brian Engbaum will join us from Bally Sports. Lightning analyst called last night's game. We'll get his thoughts on the officiating and what the hell's going on with Cooch. Stay with us. We're brought to you by Italiano Insurance. Let them do all the hard work. You save the money. 813-877-7799. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. It's Diamond Days at the Gold and Diamond Source because April's birthstone is diamonds. As they take center stage, get up to 20% off all diamond jewelry. And our first-time buyers program will help you get educated about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. And remember, you only want natural diamonds, folks. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. You don't want something that was made in a factory just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, your Gold and Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. You can always trade up at the Gold and Diamond Source for a bigger, better one. And they will spend the time to educate you about your diamonds and how to take care of them. And of course, consider the Gold and Diamond Source to maintain and insure your jewelry. They can professionally clean it, check the settings, and make any necessary repairs to keep your jewelry in top condition. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. It is a great time to always get that engagement ring at the Gold and Diamond Source. Have the best selection. They're local, obviously, so you can trust them that what you're buying is exactly what they say you're buying. Can't get that at all jewelry stores, folks. They've been doing this for 40 years. They're having their 40th anniversary sale in April here, so head on over, 20% off all the diamonds there of the already low prices. It's the Gold and Diamond Source. All right. Do we have Brian aboard, or we haven't?
We have not got a hold of him yet, so he's
Okay.
a very busy man. It seems like
He is,
so
yes.
we'll try to get him on.
We haven't had him on before, so he may not know that that's you calling. So give him a shout back and see if we can pop and get him going.
Okay.
Yes, because if you missed it last night, and of course you did not, the Bolts lose in overtime to the stinking Panthers again, 3-2. Carter Verhaeghe with a hell of a shot at the end in the overtime as Vasilevsky had to go down to block, and he just waited and then just popped it up in the back of the net as the Lightning lose their 10th overtime game in their last 11 opportunities in overtime, and the Panthers win their 11th straight overtime game. And those numbers are just off the charts for both teams, and it's a very, very, very bad trend. So we'll get game 3 coming up Thursday night, Amalie Arena. Hope you guys got your tickets. It's going to be a packed house again. Get there early, by the way. The Lightning Vision folks are going to have a nice show for you. So we've got all kinds of great edited stuff that we've already done. There'll be a special Phil Esposito narrated thing that you'll absolutely love. We'll have some other surprise guests, celebrity guests that will be joining us on Thursday night. Don't want to give away anything, but it's going to be one hell of a show, as it always is in Lightning playoffs for Game 3. So head on, get there early, get in your seat by at least 6:45. Puck drop is probably going to be about 7:08. Of course, you don't want to miss my pregame show. That's obviously why you got to be in your seat.
Never do that.
No, we never know. Don't want to miss that. But no, we brought in a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of different things we're going to be doing, videos, on ice presentations, tons of stuff. You know, my group at Lightning Vision, John Franzoni Company, going to be doing one hell of a job. So we got game 3, and then game 4 is 5:00 on Saturday. So again, lots going on in downtown Tampa on Saturday. You got to get there early, get your parking, get into the place. So the first period, we have our entire Lightning crew. The Thunder will be thundering on Saturday as well, because we got to win both of these games, obviously, to get this series back to 2-2. We got Brian?
We do not. So
all right. Thought maybe you got him there.
Yeah, we didn't get him on. So we'll see.
We got Pat. We got Pat here. We move right on to talk some Florida State stuff with Pat Burnham.
I want to know about Jared Verse. I want to know what he thinks about Jared Verse. So
well, who better to ask?
Yeah.
Our man, Pat Burnham. We can ask. Yeah, we didn't even plan on doing some of the draft stuff, but at least, FSU is a good football team again, Pat Burnham. When the NFL draft comes around and we're actually talking about some of the players that played at Florida State, that means you're headed in the right direction, because there were some lean years there for the NFL draft for FSU.
Well, it's going to be about the first time I've watched the draft since I've been back. Well, since about 2017, 2018. I mean, listen, you're going to have a chance to have they got 12 players were invited to the NFL Combine, and you got
funny how that correlates.
Three guys that could go in the first 2 rounds. And listen, Jared Verse is a hell of a football player, Peter, and I can't wait to see where he goes. I would assume somewhere between 10 and 20 in the draft based on all the mock-ups you see. But yeah, listen, I think it's exciting. I mean, listen, I was thinking about it earlier this week. I cannot remember the last time I watched every day of the draft, and it used to be a normal thing if you were a Florida State fan, and to watch the draft to see where your favorite Seminoles were going. And so, yeah, I'm gonna have to go get the cooler filled up for Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and get ready to watch a lot of the NFL draft to see where some of these guys go. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see where Verse goes, how high he goes. We all think he's gonna be a first-round pick. It's just a matter of where. And then I think the other 2 guys are gonna be fun to watch on the front end are going to be Braden Fisk and Keon Coleman. There's talk about both of them going towards the very top of the second round, and potentially, I know there was some talk a couple weeks ago about even Braden maybe sneaking into the back end of the first round. I'd love to see that. That kid, he was the motor of FSU's defense this past year and the hardest worker on that football team.
Yeah.
At least on during practice. And so it's going to be a fascinating Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for sure. And listen, I keep on going back and forth on Jordan Travis. There's a lot of mock drafts that have him getting drafted late, and just out of the type of player he was in college, the honor of being drafted, I would like to see Jordan get drafted just so he could say he was an NFL draft pick. But because of the injury, and because of his size, I think he'll go later, in which every mock draft has him going later. But I'd almost like Jordan to be able to select his own team and a system that fits his style of play than being putting a square peg into a round hole type of thing.
No,
what makes Verse so clean in your opinion? I want to talk about that because 18 sacks the last 2 years here, Pat, and I feel like he is the cleanest prospect here. You have Latu from UCLA, injury concerns there, Chop Robinson, limited production. What makes Verse, in your opinion, such a clean prospect coming out of Florida State? You saw a lot of them last year.
Well, listen, he's a dominant player. I saw a video clip yesterday. I think it was he had he was credited with 18 pressures, which is quarterback sacks, pressures, hits by PFF, 18 in 2 games. I believe that was the last 2 games of the year.
Wow.
Not including North Alabama, but he's strong. He loves to compete. Listen, he's not quite the athlete Jermaine Johnson was as far as bendability. He's a little bit stiffer than Jermaine was, but Jermaine's a rare athlete, and Jared's right up there with him, but a little bit different player physically. But listen, he's big, he's strong, he likes to compete. He gets after people, and he's highly motivated, and I think that I think the sky's the limit for him in the NFL, and I can't wait to see where he goes on Thursday night.
Yeah, there have been some mock drafts that have him falling down the board, not necessarily because of his abilities or lack thereof, but just because of all the quarterbacks that are being jammed, up into the first 20 picks. You may have had 6 go, which I think is ridiculous. Some of those guys have no business being first round picks, but you got to have quarterbacks. I get it. I understand it. But with those guys, and then also a run on offensive tackles and wide receivers. And so I think there is a chance that he falls down near the Bucs. And I know, right? At 26,
go trade up, get him.
Exactly.
Get him
if
now,
he gets to 20
up.
or 21, would you, Pat Burnham, GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, give up a late third round pick that you got from Detroit to move up 4 spots to get Jared Verse?
Yeah, I mean, if he fits what the Bucs want to do on defense, which everybody wants some pressure to the passer, right?
Right.
That's what the NFL is. It's more of a passing league. So sure, and obviously, he's going to put some. You got a lot of Florida State fans down there, so you might get a couple extra season tickets sold out of that, bringing a guy like Verse in. So there's a lot of positives with bringing in a kid that's played college football in the state of Florida. But yeah, certainly, the Bucs are good on defense from what I recall from last year. You guys would know more than that, but you add him into a already strong defense, and obviously he's going to be able to come back with the guys they have inside and the guys you have at linebacker with the Bucs. I think obviously he's a guy that could come in and make an impact right away.
And here's a sleeper pick I got to ask you about, because I think there's a fit for him, and that's Trey Benson. I love everything I saw from him and his speed at the combine. I think he's a hell of a player. He kind of fits exactly what Rachaad White does in some ways as well. But I don't know if he's going to. Where do you think he's going? 3rd round, 4th round? Where do you think?
I could see him as a late 2nd, early 3rd, just because running backs. We've heard it all the time. Their shelf life's not long. Why are you going to invest a lot of money in them unless they're just the rarest of the rare?
Right.
Can you find other guys like Trey in the draft? Probably. His production rate was unbelievable at Florida State. Obviously, he had an unbelievable combine. I had no idea he had a 4.33, 4.39. I had no idea he had that in him. I knew the kid was fast. Listen, he's got great balance. He's hard to bring down. I can still remember early in the season sitting in the press box and either hitting Bob or Kurt on the shoulder and saying that's the first time I've ever seen that guy tackled by one man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that kind of runner.
No.
He runs hard. He's got great balance. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a physical kid. He's willing to block. Listen, he's a nice kid. I ran into him in the Pushes one night. He was eating chicken wings and said, Trey, you're getting kind of close to the season. Let's lay off those chicken wings until the off season.
I already like them. I already like them already.
Let me eat those for you, buddy. Let me eat those for you.
You had ulterior motives.
That's right, buddy.
The guy eats chicken wings and still runs
at 225 pounds.
Yeah. Eat as many chicken wings as you want to. Why, Pat, is there not more love for Keon Coleman? Did they not watch the tape last year? I get it. We're so infatuated with speed. He ran a 4.6, but you turn on the tape. He's got the separation. He makes great catches. He's electric at that level. Why isn't there more love for Coleman?
Well, listen, there are too many of us football experts out there. That's part of the damn problem. Everybody's got an opinion, and it just happens to be which one we heard. But yeah, I've heard about how somebody he struggles to get off press man coverage. I didn't see that. I've never seen that. Listen, he makes plays. He competes for the ball. He can listen. This is again. We're talking about the 40 is really a non-football drill.
Yeah.
The 40 does not really. I mean, he ran a 4.63, and then they cut him through the gauntlet drill where you run across, and he had the fastest time. That's a damn football drill. So, I don't know as much about the X's and O's of the modern game as I did the game I played in, but I know what a football player looks like. I still know that. Yeah. And Keon Coleman is one of the best receivers in this draft. He was a game changer for Florida State this season. If they do not have Keon Coleman, and there's a couple other guys you could tag like this, but if they didn't have Keon Coleman on offense, Florida State is not as near successful as they. I mean, he saved their asses a couple times during the season. Yeah. So, I think Keon. I'm shocked that he's not going to be. I thought there might be talk of somebody taking him late in the first round. And now there are people talking. I saw a mock draft today where he's the 5th pick in the 2nd round. I think that's about as high as I've seen him. And listen, that's fine. Yeah. Listen, now you're splitting hairs now, right? I mean,
exactly.
There's not a whole lot of difference between pick number 32 and pick number 40. It's kind of like on the rankings. There's very little difference between the 12th ranked team and the 18th ranked team. We're splitting hairs at that point. But yeah, listen, he was amazing. What he did, never returning punts. I mean, if you're an NFL team, I'm not saying you should return punts in the NFL. That's not what I'm saying. But that guy was able to become a really good punt returner and had never done it before in college and did it 1 year at Florida State and changed games with his ability. He's got length. He's got size. He can go up and compete for the ball and come down with contested catches. And in the NFL, you're going to have a hell of a lot more of those than you are in college. So why would that not be a bigger requirement when you're watching the tape? But listen,
absolutely.
Everybody's got their guys and the guys that they like. But yeah, listen, I'm so happy the mock drafts are over. And I mean, I've been reading mock drafts since November, it seems like. Yeah. And, I'm glad that we're ready to move on
because
from that.
you read them. Yeah.
Let's get some guys drafted and get them paid.
Yeah, that would be good too.
Although they've already been getting paid, but that's enough.
Hey, speaking of that, I have to ask you. We haven't even gotten to why we have you on to tell us about the recruiting.
Oh, I thought you were getting ready to go to break.
No. Here's we're gonna go past the break. We'll do that later. Well, I got to ask you about. I heard this yesterday. Is FSU making rings, giving out 13-0 rings?
Yes, that's true. There's pictures of them on the internet.
I love it. People are bitching about it. Like, what are you doing? You were 13-1. I'm like, no, we weren't. We were 13-0. That last game didn't count. Nobody counts that if you're a Florida State person.
Well, listen,
and everybody's like, oh, now you're UCF. You're just making stuff up. I'm like, no, we were 13-0. That's when we were. Now there was a game that was added.
I don't care what they put on the rings. They can put anything they want on the rings. They're their rings. But yeah,
damn right.
they were 13-0 for the first 13 weeks of the season.
That's
That is
right.
correct.
That is correct.
That's correct. So
that is a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah,
An
so
absolute fact.
we will disagree about what happened in game 14 because I'm still a proponent of most of those guys should have played in that ball game. Listen, you had a chance to have a perfect season, whether you won a national championship or not. Those are rare. I get Verse sitting out as a first-round pick. I would even say you could say Coleman had a legitimate reason, maybe Benson. But listen, the game would have been different without those three guys. But I'm old school. I would have played for my teammates and had a chance to come back 40 years from now, 30 years from now, and talk about, hey, we went 14-0. And then you got a legitimate shot and say, hey, we should have been national champions. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But
listen, I said that during the whole process. I said, if we're going to play the damn game, go pay the guys some more money. Go pay Keon. Go pay Jared. Go pay them all. You're getting $9 million from the Orange Bowl. Take some of that money and pay the players with it. Yeah, and tell them to go play, win the game, beat Georgia, and they say 14-0, and we're 3-0 against three of the best teams in the SEC. And somebody would have voted you a national champion in the AP. I guarantee you that. And who knows, if you beat them well, you may have gotten a bunch of votes. And you would have had a legitimate. I couldn't agree with you more, but I also understand why those players didn't play.
I do too, but I think it's just I think that's also different times. We're not in 1980s and 90s anymore, and things have changed. And
not just in football.
That's right. That's right. But listen, I think it would have been fun to see them try to go 14-0 with that group. But that's my only disappointment. Yeah, I understand it, and listen, this game changes on a daily basis. All this NIL transfer portal stuff, it's nuts. I've got the transfer portal tracker on 24 hours a day, and there's so many kids jumping in the portal now. I don't know who to research and who not to research, but it's fascinating times in college football. Listen, and here's a great thing: the 12-team playoffs should eliminate a lot of this sitting out of the top players on the top teams. Now it's going to make the bowls even further irrelevant than they already have become.
Right.
But which is why I wish they would go to 16. No buys. Everybody plays the same amount of playoff games, but that's just my own personal take. If I was the commissioner of college football,
let's do it. We'll have the Pat Burnham, J.P. Peterson, Peter Blake, commissioner of college football later on in the offseason. Now we'll do that show. We'll get prepared for that. All right. So tell me a little bit about. I know you weren't there for the showcase because you were doing recruiting stuff, but I'm sure you've done your due diligence. What did you learn from the spring showcase for Florida State?
Well, I'd say what I learned from the 12 or 14 days I was at practice.
Yeah,
this is going to be a good. It's going to be a good football team. Are they going to be as good as last year's football team? Well, maybe, but it'd be a totally different style without Jordan Travis and without Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. I can keep on going down the list. They lost a lot of really, really good football players. Now, the thing that helps these days and the reloading process is that you got the portal now, and they've brought in some really good portal kids. Listen, I like DJU. The longer he went along, the more impressive he is. He's an easy kid to like from a personality standpoint. He makes some unbelievable throws at times. I would like to see what Mike and Tony can do with his completion percentage. I think he's got to be more accurate than he has been in his first 3 years as a starter, where he's a 58% passer over his first 3 years. I mean, that's low in today's college football game. Yeah. His strength is forcing the ball downfield or pushing the ball downfield. I don't want to say forcing. That's a negative term, but he likes to push the ball downfield. Now, I'd love to have seen him with Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. They don't have receivers that size on Florida State's roster this year. But listen, he is a guy that has some elite arm talent and makes some really tight window throws at times. Now, listen, it's going to be different because now you've almost given, this would have been true if it had been almost any quarterback in America that transferred in here or Brock Glenn started. You've almost given a defender back to the defenses in the ACC with Jordan Travis gone, right? With Jordan Travis, you had to account for him on every play, whether it was a run play or a pass play. Somebody had to account for where he was on the football field. it's going to be a little bit easier from at least adjustment wise and what you got to pay attention to. But DJU is certainly a guy that is willing to run the ball. He's, he was kind of apprehensive early in his career to run the ball. He's not anymore. He's a big, impressive kid, has you see some good leadership ability out of him. He has come in and he throws a touchdown in a practice, and there's video of it where Brock Glenn might be the most excited guy on the practice field after G. So obviously he's come in and acclimated well with his teammates. So I'm looking forward to. I think he should and will have his best year under Mike. Mike's and Tony Tokard's a really good football coach. Then I really love the Jalen Lucas kid from Indiana.
Yeah,
it's hard not to root for a guy that's 5'5". And listen, he's tough. He can run away from you. He's like a water bug, man. Right. He's hard to. He just moves all over the place. I cannot wait to see how Mike and Alex use him in the offense. Obviously, TJ Ferguson is kind of I think the offensive guard from Alabama, I think he's going to be a difference maker for this football team. So they've added some of the right pieces. You've got Malik Benson had a good spring. Listen, the running back room itself is going to be very strong.
Unbelievable.
With Lawrence, Roydell, Jalen, and I'm forgetting Cam.
Cam, yeah.
Cam, yeah. So it could be sick that way. I would like to see them go get a in-unit tight end out of the portal if they can find one. That's where they've got it now. Listen, I was talking with Todd Fordham, who played 10 years in the NFL, was all ACC performer at Florida State. We were talking yesterday, and he was like, you know what? He goes, but the reason I don't worry about it, and we both were echoing the same sentiments. What Mike and Alex have been able to do without the versatile tight end that's a devastating run blocker and an outstanding pass catcher. They've had one or the other, right? Right. Jaheim and Kyle Morlock last year were pass catchers. They're not, but Florida State's been able to generate offense without these great blocking tight ends. But I would like to see them do that to kind of strengthen this
can't
team.
Hurt. Yeah.
But and then the defense, listen, I don't think they've been longer as athletic in the secondary as they have since probably Jimbo's in the prime years of Jimbo. I mean, they're young and unproven, and I don't care what anybody tells you. Losing Greedy Vance hurts. You lost a starter. Now, the narrative from everybody here in Tallahassee that covers the team as well, Earl Little first him out. Well, Earl Little's got a lot of potential, but only played 21 snaps. There's a lot of people carrying the water on that about why Greedy. And listen, I think it was NIL related, but that one hurts. He's going to be a starter or a co-starter.
Experienced corners are not easy to find.
No, they're really athletic in the secondary. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is better than I thought he was going to be. I think he might be a dominant player in the ACC. I don't know if I thought that when he came in. And Sione Lalehi is going to be a solid guy. It's going to line up probably on the same side of the ball as Marvin. KJ Sampson is a young defensive lineman that was very impressive as the spring went on. Obviously, Grady Kelly, the kid from Colorado State. He's not going to be Braden Fisk, but he's going to be better than Malcolm Ray and potentially Dennis Briggs, who both chose to transfer out of the program. So you got a little bit better there. I got some questions at linebacker. Obviously, Lundy, they got him back, which was just as big a deal as anybody they signed, getting him to come back after he entered the portal. I think Blake Nicholson will be fine. I think he's just got to get more snaps. I think it's all about snaps. He's athletic. And then you got to have Justin Cryer, Sean Murphy, or Omar Graham, two of those guys step up and become really solid college football players. But I think it's got a chance to be a really good football team.
And I know you did a lot of recruiting work this weekend too, and this is something that FSU is over the last 3 years with Mike, getting a couple blue chips here and there, and now it's back to the old days, right? Like they're in on just about everybody. When you go to these elite camps now, FSU is with they're with Alabama and Georgia and everybody else. Is that pretty much where we're at now?
The caliber of kid that is coming on campus for visits, unofficially in particular. Now, obviously, the official visit kids are high level kids, but for the most part. But yeah, the caliber of kid that we are seeing on campus has changed so much from Mike's first 2 years, 2020 and 2021. The guys that they are, they just got a commitment out of a kid from Tampa yesterday, Jalen Waters, a 2026 kid. So they've got as many 2026 commits right now as they do 2025. So that kind of shows you where now. Yeah. It's only 4 on either side, but listen, Jalen Waters, I watched his film this morning. He plays at Armwood High School. He's going to be, based off what limited sophomore tape I could find, he does not play like a sophomore. I mean, he looks like a senior. This guy is 6'2". He's already, I believe, 190 pounds. He's an elite football player for his age. He's a kid that it would not surprise me if the way he's built physically, if he were to be a kid that reclassifies to 2025, we see some of that these days. But I want to see more of his junior tape as that comes out. I'd love to go down and watch him in the spring. But yeah, listen, they're in. They got Osman Cromah on campus this weekend, a 4-star running back right up the road at Leesburg, Georgia. He was here. They're in a really good spot with Zion Grady, the 4-star defensive end from Enterprise, Alabama. I think it's going to be Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Auburn. My understanding is that Georgia and Alabama are probably not going to pull. That's not where he's going to end up. I think they're going to flip Jalen Wiggins from the Gators, a 2025 defensive end. Nice. I think he's been committed to Florida since the 15th of January, but he has been on campus probably no fewer than 5 times since he committed, at least 4. I think you'll see them flip him. It looks like they're going to flip Peyton Joseph if they want him. He's already decommitted from Florida, a 4-star offensive guard. I think he's going to be a guy that Florida State is going to. If they want him, I think he's theirs. I think his cousin is T.J. Ferguson, who transferred in from Alabama. So they're on. The Myron Charles kid out of Port Charlotte, 4-star defensive tackle. I think they're going to land him before it's all said and done. He can go anywhere he wants, USC, Miami, anywhere. So the kids there all are really good football players, and it's going to be fun to see. And then the other interesting question right now is, are they going to take a second quarterback in this class after having Antoine Hill on campus 2 weeks ago? And I talked with Antoine, and he understands that Mike is going to be loyal to Tramel Jones, and that they're going to right now Tramel's definitively part of the class, and it's a question of whether they're going to take 2 quarterbacks, and Antoine's waiting on to see whether he's got to get an official visit. But then you got kid Byron Lewis from down there on the west side of the state, running back. He was here. I think they're close to nailing a commitment from him. Max Buchanan, offensive tackle from offensive guard from over on the east side of the state. He has FSU in his top 6. I think FSU is the leader there. He's been to FSU's campus about 6 times. That's probably, I think the other leaders in that have both got 2 visits based off what I can tell. So Zaire Addison, I think they're in a really 4-star offensive tackle. So if stars matter,
they're loading up.
Yeah, if stars matter to the people that are listening, the kids that they are recruiting have stars. And the kid I really want them to get on is a kid down in y'all's neck of the woods, Dallas Golden, the quarterback at Berkeley Prep. Now, he's not a quarterback in college, but he was my favorite 2025 kid in the state playoffs here in December. And there were a lot of good football players, including Charles Lester, who's now on this football team, that were playing in that game, Jamari Howard. So listen, I hope they get in on Dallas because he can play running back, receiver, safety, cornerback, doesn't matter. But
he's a hell of an athlete. Absolutely.
You're right. The recruiting has certainly changed. And listen, I got asked a couple of days ago, well, they've only got 4 commitments for 2025. And I said, well, I think 2 things have changed that. Obviously, NIL. And I think once you see the portal window close, you're going to start seeing a lot of colleges starting to fill up with commitments, right? Yeah. We're already seeing where kids are coming in and starting official visits in April. So with that early National Signing Day moving up to the first week of December, it doesn't seem like much. It's only been moved up about 2.5 weeks, but it certainly changes the calendar more than you would think.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to start seeing a lot of guys jump on the boat here as soon as the portal window closes, and Florida State and these other schools have decided how they're going to fill the gaps immediately on their rosters for this upcoming season after going through spring.
Yeah.
But then I think you're going to start seeing a lot of these guys by early June, maybe late June, early July. I think you're going to see most of these major college football programs, the best maybe college football programs, are going to have their commitment list start to fill up.
Yeah, because people want to play for Florida State now. It's a whole different deal. Pat, great stuff as always, my man. Really appreciate you jumping on with us. More information than I can digest right now, but I'm going to go back and read all your articles and double up on it. So at theosceola.com, check them out. Get a subscription. They're the best in the business. Thanks, partner. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great day.
All right. We will indeed.
Yes.
If you're an FSU fan, 13-0 was great. But there's some great days to come. They're in Alabama. You got to remember this. Alabama's time has passed. I mean, they're still in the mix, but they're not going to dominate like they have over the past 2 decades. All right, we got Brian on.
We're going to take a break. Let's go ahead and take a break really quick, and then we'll get Brian back on here on the JP Peterson Show, all right?
All right, sounds good. Back in 2. Stay with us.
Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
This is The Strike. 1025 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're talking college football, and of course, we're talking baseball. And of course, now we're going to talk some more Lightning hockey with Brian Engblom, Stanley Cup champion, and of course, Lightning analyst for Bally Sports. Incredible broadcast last night. Incredible game, Brian. Thanks for joining us. I know you're busy. Appreciate you. You caught your breath after last night's game? Crazy.
Yeah, that was a terrific game. The goaltending was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Wow,
that
amazing.
There are games where, you get 10, 11, 12 goals scored, and a lot of them are tip-ins and rebounds. And, the puck went in the net, and, everybody cheers, and it's great. But you know what? I just as soon see a game like that where there are very few goals scored and see goaltending that's that good. It's every bit as good as a lot of goals that get scored in the National Hockey League. Both Bobrovsky and Vasi were simply brilliant, and it was a terrific game to do, a great game to watch, huge energy, drama, everything. Only the score turned out wrong.
Yeah. All right. So on the great save by Bobrovsky that we're going to have to see on every highlight reel from now till the end of time. Is that on Dumba or is that on Bob or a little bit of both? Because I'm like, come on, man, you got to bury that one. The Superman came across and stole your water.
Yeah, I don't. It's a brilliant effort by Bob. I mean, he got it with his arm at first. At live action, I thought it hit him in the back, but when he spun around, he threw his arm out. I mean, he wasn't even looking.
Right.
It's a brilliant effort save. No, Dumba did the right thing. The first thing that you're told to do is elevate the puck, and he did. And it was almost halfway up into the net. You don't know that a guy is going to make a save like that. So I know I don't put that on Dumba at all. It's just one of those things that happen. Goaltenders do whatever they have to do. I mean, Dominic Hasek's a guy who used to do that all the time. And I remember saying that last night. It's exactly who and what it reminded me of. Dominic Hasek would leave his stick on the ice and just start diving around all over the place and make impossible saves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've seen other goalies do it. And this, in a critical situation, Bob pulled it off.
Ryan, how would you get Kucherov involved? Because he's been largely ineffective. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. I mean, he's basically your MVP at this point, in my opinion, of the league. How do you get him involved?
Well, I don't think you have to worry about him. I mean, he's a brilliant player and he won the scoring title. And because we just said that, you know who they're focusing on. I mean, Florida's not stupid. They are getting on him just as quickly as he gets the puck. Doesn't matter where. In his own zone, the neutral zone, in the offensive zone, everywhere. So he's pretty used to that, but he is really getting closed down on quickly, more quickly than ever. It's the playoffs, and it's one game after the other. It's a very different mentality. When you play a team during the regular season, it's one game and gone, and you go, okay, that worked good or it didn't. Well, you're doing anywhere from 4 to 7 games against exactly the same guys all the time. Plus, you've watched tape. You've prepared for every situation. And one of the first things I'm sure they talked about was Nikita Kucherov. So Kuch will adjust. That's what makes him a great player. And he's always produced in the playoffs. Last night, I think it was just one of those games where he just, wasn't feeling it. He just couldn't make the plays, the brilliant plays that he does all the time. Well, you got to give Florida a lot of credit there. And I think it was just one of those nights where he wasn't in peak form, mishandled things a couple of times. Hey, it's human. That's all we found out there. He didn't play badly. You didn't see those brilliant plays that we've seen all the time. So when that's happening, I think there were just a couple of times where I think he just needed to play, straight line games and not try to make some of the plays that he did coming out of his own end. There were some turnovers there that he nor anybody else is supposed to make inside their own zone. That's the only thing about that is when you don't have it it doesn't matter who you are, what position you are, you got to find a way to be effective. And he'll do that.
Brian Engbob joining us here, my post-game co-host as well. And you heard him on Bally's last night. And I know you guys try not to, make the officiating, a big part of the story because it's the hockey players and it was an amazing game. But I agreed with you. I thought goalie interference was the call on the first goal. I thought the Chafee call was a joke. His stick was nowhere near the skates. I thought the Panthers were diving right and left, flopping all over the place, and they were getting some calls. But in this situation, you have a team that's the most penalized in the league, and the Panthers, and a team that has the number one power play, and so it should be a factor in the series. And if they're swallowing the whistles, it's not like they're letting them play; they're changing the game. So where do you come down on the officiating? And I know you had a 4-minute power play; they should have done better with it. That's where I'll fault the Lightning, but I thought there were some calls that really cost the Lightning last night. Your thoughts?
Well, anytime they don't get a call, it's important because they do have the number one power play.
Right.
They are so darn good at it. So the more kicks they get at it, the more chances are that they're going to score a brilliant goal like Stammer did in game one. So there are all these situations where the perception from the referee side of what did that look like? Like the Chafee call, I agree. In the replay, I could see like he didn't even touch him with his stick.
No.
But I forget who it was that he made contact with. Their feet Cousins, I think it was. Anyway, I think his feet were going out from underneath him already.
Right.
But from the backside where the referee was, I guess it looked like. So perception is everything at high speed. So that annoyed the heck out of me for sure too. The goalie interference one, it was a very fine line, and it's the overall optics of it. And so that I explained it both ways when we saw the replays and looking at what the referees would have. There was only one replay. I was talking to Ryan Callahan, who was doing it for ESPN after in between periods, and he said, I thought it was a good call. I said, did you look at the one replay from up the ice where you see where his stick hits Vasi's pad first, and Vasi's already going off balance before he is run into by Hagel, and then Hagel bumps Kachuk into Vasilevsky? He said, no, I didn't. So that kind of verified to me and what the referees looked at. There were, I think, 3 different angles that we saw. 2 of them look like it was bad for Hagel. And the other one was the one where I went, no, the interference is already starting to happen. And so that's what I said. So it was a really good challenge. I think the Lightning did the right thing. They lost it. But in the long run, it was a good challenge because I think they looked at that one and saw him hitting Vasi's leg first. But unfortunately, that's not what the referee saw. They saw the overall look of it and went, okay, it's fine.
All right, Brian, we'll get you out of here on this one. It's obviously looks bleak for the Lightning, but they've come back from this before. What do they have to do to change things around and get more shots on goal? I mean, I'd like to say just shoot the puck, but they're not in position to shoot the puck. It looks like to me. Panthers are playing great defense, and as I look at the series, I'm like, top to bottom, the Panthers look like the better team right now. Not that the Lightning couldn't have won these games, but what do the Lightning have to do to be better?
Okay, so let's go back to game 1 first and then to game 2. So the attempts on net in game 1 were almost equal, believe it or not, even though the shots on goal were vastly different. Who pointed that out? But they missed the net 23 times in game 1. Wow. So that can't happen. That can't happen. So I don't have the sheet in front of me and I didn't add it up, but I know it was not as bad. But the other thing is the way they like, and again, this is the thing about playoff hockey is it's not a one and done game where you go, okay, play the Lightning and then you're on to Chicago and then you go to Winnipeg and then to St. Louis. So this is night after night, everything is analyzed. So Florida knows they need to back check hard, especially against the top 2 lines, especially against the Kucherov point combination. And they come back hard through the middle. And they're just taught, and this isn't the first time that teams have done this. Toronto did it for a couple of years as well, too. And they're just told, keep coming back through the middle because they will make east-west plays. You'll never be too late. And so that means that everything is going to be clogged in the middle. And those east-west plays are not going to happen. You're going to have turnovers, and the puck's going to go in the other direction really quickly. So you got to drive wide and play some basic hockey in order to open them up. Drive wide, shoot from the angle, start shooting more often, and go for rebounds. Spread them out, make them turn and go back for rebounds, and scatter them. I guess that's maybe the best description I could say.
No, I got you.
Old-fashioned, the basic hockey.
Yes.
Even the Kucherov line is going to have to do that. They don't like to, but those are the adjustments you have to make if you're going to win series, because whatever your game is, the opposition is going to find an antidote for it. You have to be able to play more than one way.
Brian, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time. I know it's a really, really busy time for you. Hope the dog's all right. And we'll
he's fine. Yeah.
And we'll catch up with you tomorrow at Amalie Arena. Thanks, partner.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
The great Brian Engblom right there. His ringer was off earlier. That's why we So every post game show I do with him, I learn more and more about hockey, and we've done a lot. We've done a lot the whole season. So he's phenomenal, and given an opportunity to really, in TV, you got 10 seconds tops, right? But when he can elongate and really analyze stuff, man, you learn so much about hockey. It's just tremendous. All right, well, let's go right over to a guy I could say the same thing about when it comes to football, and that's Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus, who joins us now. What's up, Trevor? How are you?
Fellas, I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you having me.
Get a little lightning talk in there for you. I know you're watching your Bolts here.
I know. I was going to say I could have just sat on and listened for the
He's
next
the best.
15 minutes for my segment. That could have been great with me. I love listening to Brian break it down. I agree with you. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's really, really good. Obviously he's got the experience calling games, but now just to hear him break down the Lightning, it's good stuff. But we got a draft tomorrow night as well. I mean, I'm going to be at Amalie Arena doing my thing, watching, your timeline and everybody else's and what the Bucs are going to do tomorrow. As we said, a day from the first round pick, where do you think the Bucs are at right now in their head? What are their priorities?
I think it's going to be trenches one way or another. I really do. I think they'd love to come away with one of the top 3 pass rushers in this draft, whether it's Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, or Latu. And I think that they honestly might have the ability to do it. I know we read a lot of mock drafts. Shoot, I've written a lot of mock drafts where we don't necessarily have any of those 3 guys within striking distance at number 26, where the Bucs currently pick, or even make it at 226 there outright. But man, the more that I'm hearing over the last couple of days, it just feels like this draft might even be more offense heavy than we even thought. And that's kind of a crazy thing to say. I feel like a lot of teams are going to be moving up for offensive tackles, just offensive linemen in general. I think the wide receivers are obviously going to go decently high in this draft. Brock Bowers is another wild card that's at least going to go in the top 15, we think, in this draft. And so all of a sudden, hey, there's only 25 picks in front of number 26, right? And so you've got all of these offensive players that are going off the board. And Jason Light doesn't trade up drastically very often. The Tristan Wirfs trade, it's on one spot. They went up and tried to get their guy, but we learned kind of behind the scenes, like, all right, well, he was calling some teams a little bit ahead of that to try to make it happen.
Right.
Wasn't able to make a deal. They still end up getting Tristan Wirfs. And I could see another similar situation. I think Dallas Turner is going to go off the board pretty quick, but I could see a situation where if a Jared Verse or a Latu, those pass rushers fall, and we get into the early part of the 20s, 21, 22, something like that. I think Jason would be willing to part ways with one of those later draft picks. They got the extra third, and so I think that he could be convinced to move up for one of those pass rushers, knowing how bad his team needs one right now in the starting lineup.
I think that's a good move. I think it's a good move. I'll give up a third to get an elite player in the draft. And you're talking about third best, maybe second or third best edge rusher in the draft at 26. That's unheard of, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it is. And again, like, this just goes back to how crazy it feels like this draft could be. I mean, we genuinely might not get a single defensive player taken in the top 10 this year. Not one. And we got good ones, right? The corner group is good at the top.
Really good.
Right. I mean, it's not as deep as it was in previous years, but Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, you even throw guys like Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry in there, right? Yeah. I mean, you've got guys who are legit future NFL players who they're just going to get knocked down the board a little bit more because it's the team needs are so offense heavy, and this draft is so good on offense. You're just going to see a major run on offensive guys. So to me, that's to the Bucs' advantage. It really is. And I think that, the more that the closer that we get to draft night, the more it feels like the Bucs are going to have the opportunity to pick a difference-making pass rusher, even if it might be a little bit in front of 26, if they trade up to, say, like a 22, a 23, a 24, something like that. I think that could happen.
Trevor, who's more likely to be there at 26? Is it a Latu or is it a Verse? And, why is Verse all of a sudden falling? Because I feel like he's the cleanest prospect in this draft. What gives here, Trev?
Yeah. I don't know about falling. Look, I think that this draft is better than last year's draft. And I was on record last year saying that if Jared Verse would have declared, I think he would have been the pick for the Raiders in the top 10. They took Tyree Wilson with that spot, but I think that if Verse was in that class, he would have been picked in the top 10 there. And now, so, it's a good question because now people look at it this year and they go, wait a second. It's not like he's worse of a football player. He didn't have a bad year this past year. So why are we now talking about him as a mid to even late first round pick? And I think it's simply just because of the group that's around. And like I said, there's just so many offensive needy teams with so many good offensive players, especially at offensive tackle in the trenches, that we're just going to see a run on those guys. So, the talk of why is Verse falling, I don't necessarily think that he's falling. One, I think that he's boring in the best way possible. He's just really good, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like that's what there's no flash, there's no boomer bust, there's no real conversations to be had about Jared Verse. He's just good. So with that being the case, the last month, I'll say, I mean, it's all about the players that are boomer bust, right? That you don't know where they're going. Those are the players that we're talking about. Meanwhile, Jared Verse, wherever he gets picked, every single analyst is going to have the exact same reaction to it. Man, what a good football player. I can totally see him starting like whatever team that he is on. So it's less of a fall for Jared Verse and more just a product of the draft class that he's in. But again, a team like Tampa Bay, you're bringing them into the loop and into the conversation that could very well be to their advantage.
Trevor Sikkema joining us here, Pro Football Focus, lead draft analyst. I've been a proponent of the biggest upgrade you can make on this team right now is at center. And because Robert Hainsey, while a great dude, it was just really bad. And your Pro Football Focus numbers prove that out. And I think Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy that could, because you're so deficient at that, what I think is a critical piece, it could elevate your team dramatically with that pick. Now, he's got some concussion issues and some other things. How good of a pro do you think he is going to be? Is the Ryan Jensen comp real for this guy?
Ceiling wise, sure. And I think that's where a lot of comps come from, right? I mean, we don't have as many pro comps based on consistency as we do ceiling, right? You're imagining like what these guys can be and at their best. You throw out all pro comparisons like a Ryan Jensen. I mean, look, you watch Jackson Powers Johnson at the Senior Bowl, and you're fully convinced that he could be somebody who's Ryan Jensen like. And when I look at JPJ, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of Bucs fans who have kind of reached out and talked about like, hey, if he's there, do you take him at 26? Like, is he somebody who makes sense? Do you think they're going to be interested? I think, don't get me wrong, he'd be an immediate starter for this team, and I think that he would be a dang good one. I just look at Jason Light's draft history and how well he has been able to draft, especially on the interior offensive line in rounds 2, 3, 4. I think he's got more faith in his scouting staff to be able to find and answer at center later in the draft, especially with that extra third round pick. So where JPJ talent-wise makes sense for this team, I'm not so sure he's going to be really high on their board because I think that they look at – and this goes into it too. This is a dang good center class. This is a really nice center class. I mean, we're going to see guys who get drafted in the second, third, and maybe even fourth round of this draft at center who could start in the league for a while. I mean, guys who could be drafted later like Cedric Van Pran and Tanner Bordolini and Bo Limmer, like these are like third, fourth round guys who, again, like I could see as starters in this league. And that's not even counting guys like Jackson Powers Johnson and Graham Barton, these guys who are at the very top of the center list. So it's it's an interesting, I think, exercise to go through. Does Jackson Powers Johnson make sense for the Bucs? In a vacuum, the answer is yes. But looking at how Jason has drafted over the last couple of years, I just don't think he's going to be really high on their board because I think they can answer that question later in the draft.
Gotcha.
Answering that question in the draft is the answer to the question Frazier from West Virginia, in your opinion?
It could be. Frazier's a really good football player. I mean, and he is somebody who I think he's played center for a while, but he doesn't get enough credit for having the body type to also have the versatility to be a guard too, if they needed him to be. Now, if you're drafting him, you probably – Tampa would have to draft him with their later second round pick, right? And so I think that would require him lasting all the way to that point in the draft, which isn't a given anyways. But to me, again, like I think that reality is higher on their board than drafting JPJ in the first round. They would rather say, okay, why don't we go for, obviously we talked about pass rushers. Why don't we go kind of all in on pass rusher in the first round, make that happen. See if Frazier gets to us in the second round. And if he doesn't, there's probably some again, third, fourth round centers that they would be very comfortable with, thinking that they could be upgrades that could really help that roster out. So I think that Frazier could be an answer for them. And I think that Frazier could even be a reason why they might be saying, hey, let's hone in on pass rusher in the first round, knowing that we've got later options in the different rounds.
Trevor Sikkema joining us here, Pro Football Focus. All right, the shiny toys that people love are the wide receivers and, the sometimes the running backs. And I think wide receiver is certainly a need for the Bucs, but not an immediate need. And I think they're very focused on trying to be as good a football team as they can next year and the year after. That said, there's some really good ones that might fall down the board because so many quarterbacks will be overdrafted here. Who's that guy? Is it Keon Coleman that they might take in the first round? Would that be just – and I agree with you. Trenches is a better place to go. Or do you wait to the third round pick, the late third round pick, to get a decent receiver? What do you think?
Yeah, I look at their current team makeup, and I think that it's a sexy first round pick to try to give them one of those really good wide receivers that's there. Again, I just don't think that they do it. I think them waiting probably makes more sense. I look at guys like Xavier Legette from South Carolina, Jalen Polk from Washington. Those types, or maybe even some of the smaller slot guys, Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky, maybe even a Jalen McMillan from Washington, right? I think that you've got a handful of players who you don't have to force that need again in the first round. It just goes back to building this plan for them. It makes the most sense for them to go defense in the first round, and you've got these guys, those guys that I named there. You probably have the opportunity to get some of those guys in that second round, and especially if they keep those 2 third-round picks, you've got multiple options to take a stab at getting those wide receivers in there. So wide receiver, I agree, it's more of a sneaky need than I think most of the national media would admit when they're looking at this roster, because they just look at, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like Trey Palmer obviously was able to flash last year, and these are true things. But you don't know how much longer this group is going to have the talent dominance that they have, or even if they're going to be on the team super long term. So I think that wide receiver could be an option for them, but it's not pressing enough to me for them to draft in the first round.
I agree. Trevor, great stuff as always, my friend. I do want to ask you, outside of the Bucs, how do you think this whole quarterback thing is going to shake down? I don't think Penix makes it out of the first round. I think there's too many teams that need quarterbacks that are further down in the draft. I'm talking about the Broncos, the Raiders. I mean, I think it's going to get crazy, and that's all. The more that go, the better in front of the Bucs, right?
Yeah.
And there has been some talk about Penix to the Bucs at 26. I just don't see that. I would be more on your train of the going trenches. But how do you think this whole quarterback thing shakes out up top?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go quarterback in this draft. I really don't. It just does not really behoove them to do that. But look, I think Caleb's going number 1. It feels like the momentum is swinging towards Jade Daniels going number 2. We've heard reports that the Patriots would like Drake May at number 3, and then McCarthy, kind of like he has been for the last month, becomes this ultimate wild card. Okay, well, is McCarthy going 4? Is somebody trading with the Cardinals? Is somebody trading with the Chargers? Like, what are we doing here? Where is he coming off the board? Do the Vikings like him? Do the Giants like him? So those are then all the questions that you've kind of got to answer there. So I think that's the way we're about a little more than 24 hours out. That's kind of how it feels right now. I think those 4 guys are at least going in the top 12, I'll say, to be very safe. But then I do feel as though there's a lot of momentum for Michael Penix to be a first-round pick. I do. Yeah. So I'm not just saying that that's total smoke. I'm looking at the smoke and saying that there's fire there. But man, I'd also throw Bo Nix into that group. I think Michael Penix is the hot name, right? I think a lot of people like to talk about him and where he could go because of the prolific year that he had for Washington. But we could genuinely get 6 quarterbacks in the first round, which would be nuts. It'd be a lot of fun. But man, that would be crazy. I just can't wait to see how it unfolds and where these guys end up going.
And we just have to look back to last year and see how overdrafted these quarterbacks were, other than C.J. Stroud.
Right. Yeah, man. But that's the thing, right? As long as one of them hits, that will forever give teams the ability to say, well, this year that could be us. That the one could be us if we get the guy that we believe in. So
we shall see. All right, Trevor, tell me what you guys are up to draft night and all the content at PFF.
Yeah, we've got a live draft show all 3 days of the draft. Night 1, it's going to be myself, the legendary Chris Collinsworth, Steve Palazzolo, and Sam Monson on the PFF desk, which everybody can see over at PFF's YouTube channel. We'll be live streaming all 3 days. Very, very excited for that. And we have a lot of fun on that show. So I would encourage everybody to come by, hang out, whether you got a phone or a laptop or a tablet or whatever. Just pull it up while maybe you're doing something else, or even if you want to watch the main broadcast, come hang out with us. We'll be having a lot of fun.
Well, unless Sal Pal's on, I'm not watching ESPN. So I'm coming over to you guys to get, and you're clearly the most handsome of that group you just mentioned. The bar's kind of low, but you still are. You still are the most handsome there. So appreciate your time as always, my friend. Good stuff.
I appreciate it, brother. Anytime, man.
All right, we'll see you, Trevor Sigma. You go to their YouTube channel for draft night. A lot to digest there. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I want to we'll get to the commenters as well and go full Bucs draft here at the end. Quick break. We'll be back. We're brought to you by Extravaganza Productions. Go see my good friends over there, Dolly Brown and Paul Thomason. If you have an event coming up, a charity event, a big birthday, whatever it is, a smaller event, they'll be happy to help you out with it from the creative side, from the production side. Whatever you need, Extravaganza Productions. They are the best in the business. Go to their website, extravaganzaproductions.com. Contact them through there and get a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. Extravaganzaproductions.com. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. I'm Peter Blake along with the great JP Peterson as we're talking Tampa Bay Buccaneer draft in general. We do have some breaking news. I know we talked some politics on this show.
No. What happened now?
Joe Biden has signed a law on Wednesday, a $95 billion with a B, war aid measure that includes assistance for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And then on top
How
of
much
it,
for Americans?
right.
How much for the border?
Exactly. Zero. And then on top of it, if you want to talk about losing votes or losing the election, you may have just done that with forcing social media site TikTok to be sold or banned in the U.S. So that's where we're at right now when it comes to political news and focus, which obviously I don't understand it. Somebody will have to explain that to me.
The Ukraine stuff is just mind-boggling, to be honest. I mean, everything that's gone on there for the past 5 to 10 years, not just this ridiculous proxy war, this ridiculous war, and all of this aid is under the guise that somehow Vladimir Putin, who can't defeat Ukraine, is going to somehow, once he gets Ukraine, wipe across Europe like Hitler did. And we have to stop him now, so we don't have to fight him later. It's a joke. It's like the Russian army, who can't defeat Ukraine, is going to somehow wipe across Europe and take care of all these NATO countries. It's the stupidest thing ever. It's not, and all these congressmen, both parties, the Uniparty, waving their Ukraine flags in the House of Representatives makes me sick to my stomach. And all these homeless veterans. I was watching a video from a homeless veteran on Twitter, and another Gold Star family, a woman who, talked about raising her kids while her husband was deployed and he was killed in Afghanistan. And he's like, for what? So we can send more of my tax dollars to Ukraine, and our country doesn't give a rat's ass about me or taking care of our homeless veterans or our military or our border or our Americans who aren't safe. It's, what's going on right now up there. And again, both parties, our government has completely turned on us, we the people, completely turned on us, we the people, on so many levels. It's scary. It's really scary what's going on. This, the president, Joe Biden, he has no clue what he's doing. The dude,
TikTok is his focus right now. That's what we should worry about here.
That's part of the problem. But that's just to distract you and other people from what's really going down. And it's disgusting what they're doing to this country and the American people. And look, I'm not just, and I know so many of you out there, oh, you're pro-Trump and all this stuff. I'm just anti what's going on now. And anybody that can come in here and change that has got my vote. And I don't care if it's RFK Jr. or it's Trump or it's whoever. It's just this group that's in there now doesn't give a rat's ass for the people. And it's scary because, my kids, I've had a good life. I've had a good run. I'm scary about the world that my kids are going to grow up in, and my stepkids. It's very concerning. And I mean, it is. It's comical. Go look at Jane Castor's Twitter or Kathy Castor's Twitter from yesterday's visit by POTUS. Every comment is anti. I mean, who's supporting this guy? Like, it's like there's really an election. Trust me, there's not going to be a fair election. There's no way. There's no way they can govern like this. And it's both parties, by the way, not just the Democrats, and expect to win any elections, because the people are very much against what's going on right now. And how could you not be? I mean, look at the cost of things. Inflation 3%, my ass. Rent's up 75%.
75% for rent.
Gas is
$95 billion to another country. I mean, am I in the twilight zone here? I mean, somebody call me. Tell me if I'm in the twilight zone. Because
look at our own in Pinellas County. We're going to spend $2.4 billion of public money to subsidize a billionaire. And you want to talk about building affordable housing? How about you sell that real estate there at market price at $700-800 million and get real development on that tract of land, and then take some of that money and go build affordable housing where it's cheaper to build it and you can build more of it and help more people, instead of this dog and pony show that you don't want to lose the raise. And the money that you're giving to allowing a billionaire to buy this property for $105 million that's worth $700-800-900 million. This is the biggest boondoggle in history in this county. And you want to sit there and say this is good politics? This is good for the people of Pinellas County? About 2 to 3% of it actually ever go to a Rays game?
Distraction. That's what it is.
Insane.
Yeah.
We're supposed to talk about the draft at the end of the show here.
Yeah, sorry.
That was your fault.
Well, I had to bring it to the forefront because I think it's
crazy.
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
We don't have the money to be sending to other countries to protect their borders when ours are wide open. It's crazy.
But the ban of TikTok to me is going to definitely sway the young voters. I mean, now who's going to vote for this guy?
Well, which is crazy.
I'm
if
serious.
young voters, if that's what they're worried about,
yes,
TikTok.
Like, what are you doing?
That's insane.
Yes, that's how it is at this point.
All right. So what Trevor said, I think he's spot on. As much as we like shiny toys and quarterbacks and wide receivers, they're going trenches. And what you have to watch is how far does Jared Verse fall? How far does Latu fall? How far does JPJ fall? How far? And I understand some people say take a center up there. I say you do. If he's the most dominant center and he falls to you at 26, and there was I retweeted this on hits and misses in the draft, and you know what the number one position is for hits in first round in the draft?
Center.
As far as percentage, center.
Yep.
Center.
Yep.
There's only been 11 of them drafted, I think, since 2010, and I think 10 of 11 have hit to become starters in the league. So. And it's just, if you can get a guy that's going to be a Ryan, look how much better this team was. And look at the good teams. Look at the Eagles with Jason Kelsey. Look at the good teams, and they got good centers. They got really good centers.
You just threw it out there. That is the team right there. And these are the teams that you have to watch for if you're a Bucs fan, if you want Powers Johnson. Seattle at 16, 20 at Pittsburgh, and 22 with the Eagles there with Kelsey. And that's a perfect fit for me, in my opinion. 22 to the Eagles. That's why I don't think he gets past. He gets at.
But Sal Pal said no way the Eagles are taking a center in the first round. And what Trevor said, look, and you've mentioned the guy from West Virginia, Frazier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get a guy and you like him, I mean, they may look at him and say he's every bit as good as JPJ. And you get if you come out with Jared Verse and Frazier in the first two rounds, gee, many Christmas, that's a home run. Yeah. That is a home run. Yeah. And you're not going to find a Jared Verse in the second round. You're not. No. You're not going to find a decent pass rusher in the second round. It's a light year for edge rushers. So if you go edge first and then get your center later on, I'm fine with that too. If you address those positions in the first two rounds of the draft and you get two starters, two guys that contribute, then that's a home run draft right there. You don't even have to go any further. And you still got 2 third-round picks in a draft that's very rich, where you could get you could get Trey Benson in the third. Yeah. You could get a really good wide receiver in the third.
How about Brandon Rice? Is it Brandon Rice, Jerry's son there? He was pretty impressive. Maybe you get him. Yeah. We need more time.
Yeah. Well, you go ahead and promote your show coming up tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the Sports Web at 8 o'clock, fan mock draft. So we'll have you with wall-to-wall coverage, fans being general managers, possible local celebrities here being general managers of their favorite team. And if you get it right, you get lunch on the Sports Web. How about that?
There you go. I love it. Yeah. Great job, Peter. Appreciate you. We had Brian Enblom today, Trevor Sikkema, Pat Burnham was awesome, JC Allen. That's what we do every day, folks. 2 hours nonstop Tampa Bay sports talk every day from 10 to 12. And, of course, you can catch it as a podcast on Spotify, at our website, fanstreamsports.com, the JP Peterson Show, YouTube. It's all there for you. Thanks for watching. We will be back tomorrow. It's draft day on Thursday, and it's Bolts Day as well. See you then.